And yesterday we literally just talked about the account optimization. Today we will talk all about content. Basically, what I'm going to tell you today is the golden ticket to growing your Instagram account. And it's not more than that. You don't need any fancy equipment, fancy cinematic reels or anything like this. You can grow just with this, what I'm going to tell you today. And what I would encourage you to do, either Margarita, if you work for a client as a social media manager, or Alicia, when you're doing it for yourself, I'm going to show you how to create a content database today. And before you start posting, I want you to send me your content calendar or an Excel sheet with your content database, because I want to make sure that your content is specific enough and fits into the growth content category. So, because like once you do it so often, you already get an eye that is trained to recognize, okay, this content is something that people will be saving and sharing, and this content is something that people will just scroll by. So I could help you out. So you make the most out of it and don't waste your effort. I could tell you some feedback on your planned content. Okay, then let's start. The rest will join when they join. And today now we're gonna start with talking about strategy and understanding what we need to be posting in order to grow our accounts. So what we figured out yesterday is that the first few hundred followers is the hardest, and we should not give up before we see results, because only once we get to this certain level of having a few thousand followers, then the things become easier. But you will not like magically be growing unless you continue posting, or you have such good content that like just one post per week is already enough to bring you followers, like it works for Katka, for example. But she's one of very few examples. Usually, if you stop posting and if you don't have enough compounding content from before that keeps bringing you followers, then you will rather see reduction in the follower number. So even if you reached your goal of 5,000, 10,000, you still have to keep doing it. Otherwise, it will get reversed. Strategy is nothing really magical. Usually, a strategy is asking the right questions and answering them. So the most important questions for us is some of them we answered yesterday, like who you are, who will be watching your content, what will they get with this, like what's in it for them, and also, a very important one is where you're going to lead your audience once they come to your account. How are you going to sell to them? And then the question that we're going to answer right now is what you can post for them so they are interested, so that they follow you, and so that they buy from you. So in order to grow your personal brand on Instagram, you have to become this one thing. You have to become a focus point of valuable and regular content in your niche. People have to rely on you, that every time they come to you, you provide new valuable content. Or, of course, again, it doesn't have to be new. You can repeat and recycle it, but it will always be there. So it's like an addiction for many people. It's like going on Netflix and turning on a favorite series. They want to come on Instagram and find their favorite account posting that content that they love. So we need to make sure that we provide enough of that regular and valuable content for those people who are kind of addicted to us. And we really become that go-to expert in our niche to whom they come for answers to their questions. Yesterday, I already told you this: produce content so valuable that people don't have to hire you. And this is literally the foundation of what is growth content and why people will be following you. Important thing for content is that it also shouldn't be too narrow, because the purpose of content is, if you remember our funnel, is top of the funnel. Like, you need to attract as many people as possible. So when you are thinking about what content you can post, it cannot be too narrow. So, for example, you are an expert in cinematic reels. If you are only posting about cinematic reels, it's very niche and you might be losing a lot of people who are generally interested in reels. And then there are people who are generally interested in Instagram and reels as part of the Instagram. And then there are people who are interested in Instagram because they just want to be making money online because they're entrepreneurs, businesses, and so on. So we need to understand that for every topic, there is a broader and broader and broader topic. So we need to find this golden middle for our content that is not too broad and not too niche, too narrow, that there are not enough people interested in this. So, for example, if you are an expert in reel production and you're an expert in cinematic reels, you could focus your offer on this because you want to be the go-to expert, the authority for cinematic reels. But you want to be producing content that is a bit broader to capture more people, to bring those people into your funnel. So you want to be producing content generally on how to make good reels, generally on how to use, for example, CapCut tool to produce reels, what real effects are there, how even beginners can start with this, and then you want to bring them to a more advanced offer. And the same for Instagram. You want to talk about like why reels are so important for Instagram, how Instagram growth works, how algorithm works, and so on. The same, even if it's not like this was an Instagram example, if you're, for example, an investment expert, saying that how to calculate the complex interest when investing money, this is so niche and specific, very few people would be interested in a content piece like this because calculating complex interest, this is not what regular people would do. Probably some experts would do this who are either tax consultants or investor bankers, but not normal people. But for example, if you post a content that says how to go on pension at 30 through smart investments, more people will be interested in this because most of us do want to go on pension early and get enough money during pension, prevent poverty in at the pension age. So this would be something that would attract more people and would be more broad. Or, for example, 5 stupid ways you waste money daily instead of earning with investment. This is also something that could apply to a much broader group of people and would attract more potential customers to your offer. So, to summarize what I wanted to say with this, when we are choosing our content, it cannot be too niche because it has to attract enough people. Exactly. Your content needs to be broad enough to attract attention and new followers. And now we are coming to exactly what content to post for growth. So when you are just starting out and you are small, your only goal should be to grow and expand your reach. That's why we will be posting only on growth content. So your Instagram content funnel will look like this. You will focus only on top of the funnel, on the content that attracts attention and drives traffic. You will include a little bit of the middle of the funnel content, just like nurture, talking about yourself and so on. And basically, you do not need to include any sale content because you don't have the audience yet to sell to. So what is this growth content that you will be focusing 80% of your content efforts? Growth content is content about audience's pain points and ways to solve them. Any kind of very specific tips, tricks, how-tos, collections, tutorials, step-by-step frameworks, and also trends. Trends is anything that's going viral on Instagram. So for example, when you go on the Explorer page and you scroll through the reels, you will see the same audio or the same type of reel many times. That means that this is a trend and different people are jumping on this trend. So typically, if you jump on a trend, be it a trending audio or something funny that people are doing in the video, like a dance, which is usually also coupled with the trending audio, it will also automatically give you more reach. But trends are not always something that you can apply. Not every trend will fit your brand You need to make sure that you're only jumping on trends that are fitting to you and that are still aligned with what you're offering. You cannot jump, you shouldn't be jumping on a dancing trend, because I told you the story of a girl who was a coach, and then all of a sudden she had like thousands of people from India expecting more dancing videos, and like who were not interested in her offer. So you need to be very careful with trends, but do use trending audios, and you can apply those trending audios on top of this type of content that is super actionable, specific, and concrete. So to summarize this, we only post content with the viral potential, and these are the things that are super specific, super concrete, and super actionable. Yeah. Again, pain points of our audience, how we solve them, tutorials, tips, tricks, how-tos, anything that people think that they can save, then return to and do it on their own. And adding a call to action, for example, save it now so you can come back to it later, also adds to your reach, because if people do save it and do any kind of action like share, comment, like, this is a signal to the algorithm that this content is valuable. Avoid any general or generic content, really. And this is usually a problem with content produced by ChatGPT, because it's so superficial and so generic. So in this case, if you really want to grow and post content with viral potential, you cannot rely on what ChatGPT produces you unless you tell him to be super specific, concrete, actionable, and like create content based on all these things listed over here. Do you have questions to the content at this point? No. Okay, then we can go further. And what determines the success of your content? Hook is the most important thing for your content. This is the first line, either in the caption or the first sentence that a person sees in your video. And this is usually the only thing that can grab attention. Its job is to make somebody stop scrolling, keep reading your caption, or keep watching your video. Often you will see videos that start with some bold text on the screen, and it would say something like, here's why your content isn't converting in the first 2 seconds, and then you will see the main body of the reel that's unwrapping this topic. So hooks exist not only in reels, hooks exist in blog posts, the headline. In a magazine and journal, headline is a typical hook. In an email, a hook is the subject line. The carousels on the cover photo also use a hook. So hooks are everywhere, and this is literally the only thing that can determine the success of your content. If your hook doesn't work, it doesn't matter how amazing your video is, people will not stick around to watch this. So let's have a look at what makes a good hook. Specificity is really the golden mine for your hook. What does specificity mean? Being time bound is a specific element. So if you use deadlines or specific time frames, for example, do this in 30 days, or with just 10 minutes a day, you can achieve this. By next Monday, if you do this every day, you can achieve this by next Monday. Do this every Sunday evening to see this result after 2 months. All of these specific time frames that lead to a specific result make it a gold mine. This is something what people want to know, because they want to know exactly how much effort and time they need to put into something to achieve something. And as you remember, our content provides them tutorials, tips, tricks, actionable stuff. But in order for them to implement whatever we are teaching them, we need to give them the time frame and how much effort it will cost them. Another way to give them an idea of how much effort it would cost them is to include a step-by-step format. So breaking down the process into a number of steps or three things or something like this. So if you include in your hook something with just 3 steps a day, you can achieve this. Or with just this one easy exercise a day, you can achieve this. This tells them also quite specifically how much effort they need to put to achieve their desired result. Yeah. And exactly, the next point is quantified expectations. So the desired results where people wanna go. So if you want people to really take your content seriously, you need to tell them what they can expect, what result they're gonna get after they implement your tip, trick, or tutorial. So, for example, using with just 3 steps per day, you can gain 1,000 followers after 1 month. Super specific. People will be like, "Oh my God, yes, I want. It's so easy, so fast, and exactly the goal or the result that I want to achieve." Or with this easy trick, you can triple your conversion rate in like right away. Yeah. Or 5 posts. Yeah, you can use this one ChatGPT prompt to write 5 posts in under a minute. These are really something that works and something that attracts people attention, because people are generally lazy. They don't want to know the truth that things don't work real fast. And even though it might not be really that easy or so fast or so simple, this is what people expect, so we need to give it to them. Then other ways how you can show specificity in your hooks is providing template or giving something example based. So if you don't just give them a tip, but you show them a real example of a case study or a specific template of how this can be implemented, so it is very actionable, they can take it right away from themselves and fill it out. That would also be a very good hook. Then other good hooks is something that doesn't just tell people what to do, but tells them actually what not to do in order to achieve something. And people usually want to avoid mistakes. So if you will say something like mistakes to avoid when you're trying to lose weight after pregnancy, or what not to do when you're trying to grow your Instagram account to 1,000 followers, these kind of things work. People usually want to avoid mistakes if they can. And then something what we also discussed yesterday, collections, like tools or resources that you link that can help the viewers take action immediately, not just like giving them tips, but also saying how they can implement it right away by mentioning a collection of tools or something, is also that is very specific and people want to see and will save and will share with others who they think might be in need of this problem solving. And there are, of course, other strategies to how hooks can work. So I was just talking about specific hooks because generally my strategy to marketing is help oriented and problem oriented, where I try to solve a problem. There are also other strategies to marketing that are a bit more cheeky and where a bit more FOMO based, where people are trying to like make you feel inadequate, sort of, and then offer you the solution so that you feel better. I don't like that, but it does work. So it's really up to you what you choose for yourself and your own strategy. So hooks that are provocative also work really well. So no one tells you this about Instagram growth, or no one tells you this about self-worth and how to gain confidence. Something where we provoke people to, where we challenge their beliefs, we challenge their mindset, and trying to shift it. Then things that are relatable, where we directly address a pain point or a problem. Like if you feel like your content is invisible, read this. Or what we did with Katka a lot, when we were creating hooks for her posts is if you have wrinkles around your eyes, do this simple exercise once a day. The hook was still very specific because it says one simple exercise and it gave the time bound once a day. But it did address the pain at first, which was the wrinkles around the eyes. And people could relate to this when they saw this hook. So they continued watching because they wanted to find out the solution to that problem. Then contrarian or myth-busting hooks work just as well as the provocative hooks. You challenge common belief, posting daily doesn't grow your account, this does. With Katka, for example, we created a bunch of hooks that was contrarian to existing solutions. So she wrote, don't use Botox, do this natural facelifting exercise. Don't do painful injections, do face yoga for natural facelift. So we wrote out a list of existing solutions, and we then just created like put our solution contrary to what already exists and presented it in better light. Then things like surprising stats or facts work also really well if something like this exists in your niche, because this is also very specific. That would also stop people from scrolling, especially if this is something surprising and they didn't expect it. So 94% of people never open the freebies they download. So for me as an online marketer, that would be a crazy statistics, but I don't believe this is true. But if there is something real like this in your niche, that could work. Or what you could also do, you could use it as a hook and then contradict it in your second sentence to like you catch people's attention with this crazy statement, and then you contradict to it in your second sentence, and then you unwrap the full topic and tell them the truth. Then another thing that you can use for a hook is a question, but this one should also be very specific. So what if you could build a website in 4 hours with zero experience? This is specific and also quite surprising because you mentioned the zero experience. So it does make people think, is it really possible? So if building a website and having an online presence is something that they were thinking about, they would stop to watch your reel to see how this is possible. Relatable problem focus is very similar. Basically, you also address the problem, your profile is in the problem, your content strategy is, and then you unravel the solution to it. And then you could also do something very personal, confessional that people don't know. And actually, this kind of personal things and storytelling works really well this year. So I cried in the shower the day I opened my business. If this is true, then you could definitely do this. But with all of this being said, I really recommend you to consider if tactics that are like clickbait tactics, kind of FOMO based tactics, kind of bullshit marketing based tactics is really something for you, because it's not for me and I don't like it. So if I know people will use hooks like this, I cried in the shower the day I opened my business, because it will bring them, more views and more clicks. But if this is not true, I would not use it for myself. So you really have to decide for yourself and your brand, what would work for you. Everything that is specific and offers clear solutions to people's problems will definitely work, and people will be saving that to fix their problems. Before we go to the hook examples, do you have any questions to different types of hooks that exist? No? Okay. So let's have a look at a few examples of bad and good hooks, and let's try to understand why they're bad and why they're good. So a bad hook would be financial independence starts with clarity. because this literally does not tell me anything about what to expect in this post. It doesn't address what I want to achieve. It doesn't address how much effort I need to put, and I don't even know what financial independence even means. And if I'm talking about investment here, if I'm talking about, I don't know, a better job, self-employment, and so on. What a good hook could be in this case? A good hook could be how you can grow your money 3 times in just 2 years with this investment tactic. This tells you very clearly what your goal is, your desire to grow your money, how much exactly, in a time-bound manner, in how many years, and with what? With these investment tactics. So this is something that people will be saving to come back later, because when they start planning the investment tactic, this is something that they will want to rewatch again. Another bad hook is why you should be thinking about investments right now. Okay, right now is the time-bound element, but this is more opinion-based, and it again doesn't tell me anything. Well, it doesn't convince me if this is something for me. It doesn't address my problem. It doesn't tell me what I can achieve. But for example, if you want to tell people that they need to start thinking about investment right now, you can also say that by saying how you can start investing even with 100 euros a month right now. So this tells people that no matter how little investment they have, no matter how little money they have, they can already start investing even with a little bit of money and start growing their capital. Then another bad hook would be you have capital but no plan. This is also super general, and here it also doesn't tell me what are we talking about, investment or business or I don't know, inheritance. But a better hook would be what to do with 200,000 euros you inherited. Here are your options, and you would provide a list of options where people could invest to, and how they could grow this money with those investment options. And the final example that I put in here, this is how you turn your bonus into stable income. This is also very general, doesn't tell me what is this about, investment or God knows what. But for an Austrian person who gets 13th and 14th salary, a hook like here's how you can 5x your this year's 14th salary in just 2 years. This addresses me as an employed person because I have a 13th or 14th salary. It tells me that I can grow it, and I can grow it pretty fast. So I will continue watching to find out what is this investment tactics that can bring me this result. So I hope this gave you a bit clearer idea about what I mean when I say specificity, and what I mean when I say that people want to know very concrete tactics, tips and help to their problems. I have a few other examples from last workshop, because last workshop we had people, we had one person who had a company who was fighting with carbon footprint. There was one girl who was a sex therapist, and there was one girl who was a recruiter. So we went through their hooks and came up with some ideas that they could use right away, that people would definitely be saving, and that could bring them growth very fast. So for this environmental company, a hook like 3 low effort ways to reduce waste at home right now, for example. This is easy, fast, and actionable, implementable, something that somebody can do right away. And this is one of those collections that people will want to know in order to decide for themselves what works. Another one, easily reduce electricity bill by using these lamps, and then you show them what lamps are, like exist that people might not even know that like there are any special low electricity consuming lamps, and then you can like they could show installation of such lamps at home to also show that it's like super easy to install. For the sex therapist, we identified a few hooks. For example, easy way to increase true intimacy with your partner, and then you show this one exercise, 6 seconds kissing before sleep, makeout session. Like there were like a few different things that you can implement in your relationships. And then one of the question hooks, feel disconnected from your partner, use the 20-second hug rule. So this right away evokes interest and trick. What is this 20-second hug rule? Also tells you that it's very short, easy to do, and in the reel you unwrap how this works. And for the recruiter that we had at our last workshop, we identified a hook like this: 5 free professional education tools you can use right now, for example. So this is a collection, something that people will want to save. Or want to change your position in your company, here's how to convince your boss, and you provide a script or a checklist for what to talk to your boss about. But this is one of those question hooks as well. Yeah. So this is about the text hooks, this bold text that we see in the beginning of every reel. Do you have any questions about how you need to create your hooks so that they stop the scroll and keep people watching further your video? If you don't have any questions, then we proceed. And in addition to the text hooks, there are also visual and audio hooks. These are all these extra elements that you can add to increase your chances of people watching your content. So visual hooks can be fast cuts, some sort of movement, eye contact in the camera, or something unexpected like some kind of filter, some sort of props, pointing, drawing, throwing something. The easiest thing, what you can start with when you're just starting out, is just doing an eye contact with the camera, smiling in there, and adding the text hook. Because at the moment when you're just starting out and you're not so fast with creating different movements and the different angles, and you don't have all that equipment, it is tough to plan all these things. So I suggest really a very simple thing is if you like include an eye contact, or if your camera is standing here and if you're doing one of those talking head videos, you turn around and then you start talking. So this movement is something that brings in a bit of this visual hook. My dog is snoring. It's running in its sleep. And then there are also audio hooks. This is usually some sort of background music that you add that should match your video, the mood in your video. Or it can even be some sort of like dramatic statement or voiceover that you don't only have the text hook, but you also say it out loud. So for those who is listening, they're like, okay, nice voice, I will continue watching. Or you also can do some sort of pattern interrupts when you start with one sound and then you have a crazy sound effect or sudden pause or change in tone. All of these things you could add in order to make people like win their attention, stop the scroll, and make them continue watching. But frankly speaking, in the beginning, it's good that you know that these things are possible, that they exist, but you won't be able to include all of them in your content in the beginning. So choose two, for example, eye contact as your visual hook or a movement in your visual hook, and make sure that you have a very good text hook and don't worry about other things. So now we have discussed what content it has to be that people will be wanting to watch and that will be bringing you growth. We have discussed what hook it has to be so that people stop the scroll and watch your reel and follow you based on these reels. Here's what content formats to include in order to grow faster. So statistics from last year, from this year, there is not enough analysis that has been done. Usually it's like from the previous year that we can judge. Statistics do show that Reels do have more average reach and engagement across all industries in comparison to carousels and Instagram images. So for example, here we can see, and this is also divided by the Instagram account. I want this thing to go away. So you see the first one, the smallest one, from 1,000 to 5,000 followers. Reels have highest average impression than carousels or images. So reels are the dark purple, carousels are the light purple, and images is the very light purple. So reels still bring more views than other content formats. For a big account from 5,000 to 10,000, it's the case as well. As you can see, images have actually twice less reach than carousels or reels. Then from 10,000 to 50,000, reels still work the best. And then it appears that from when your account gets bigger, carousels actually are the things that will bring you more reach and more impressions. But since most of us are in the beginning as small formats, reels are really the format that will bring you most reach. It actually also applies to average engagement. So this plot shows the engagement across influencer accounts, and we still see that Reels have 2% higher average engagement than carousels, images, or text posts. So if you are thinking about what format to choose Reels. Reels will bring you the most reach, and then you can use them like this. You can use Reels for 60 to 80% of your format, of your content. So let's say you're planning for the next 10 days. You shoot 6 to 8 Reels for those 10 days. And for the remaining 2 days, 2 to 4 days, you post a carousel or an image. And if you decide that you still want to include some conversion in your content, you can post in stories, but I would really put minimum effort to this. Yes.
Just for the sake of like your feed, if you look at it, I know you can then differentiate between reels or like seeing everything. Would it make sense to post some reels, but also then in between have some, like you said, some stories, some carousels or images, just to have a bit more variety on your feed, or that doesn't matter so much?
No, the variety doesn't matter because in the end, you will find one format, your signature format, that people will want to see more and more from you. So in the end, you might be producing just one type of content because this is what people want to see. And you don't need any variety. You actually want to be as recognizable as possible. And if you have too much variety, then this recognition factor is missing. And it really doesn't matter. People will watch reels and they will not really think, oh, this has been boring. Alessa has only been posting reels. They will not think about it.
Okay. And the other thing, what do you think about like when you do produce a reel or a carousel, whatever, that you then repost it in your stories? Does that make much sense to do that, like to promote it even more? Or
Yes, definitely. I would promote it in every way possible. So I will repost it in the stories, and I would usually include some sort of poll or some sort of question to also encourage engagement from people. Maybe because there are people who usually come to Instagram, they click on the first story and then they just scroll through stories. And there are people who come on Instagram and they just scroll through the feed. So basically, we want to make sure that we catch both types of people, those who watch only stories and those who watch also feed.
Okay. But it always makes sense that if you do repost in your stories to put some form of engagement with it as well.
Yes, I would definitely either write something that I think why people should go and watch the full reel, for example, or I would include some sort of engagement because those people who will watch it in the stories, they usually will not jump out of the story in order to go to watch it on your feed. But if they engage, at least for my and for my analytics, I know that they were interested in the topic.
Okay.
So, and just to say the same point that I already mentioned yesterday, you can grow with carousels. I've shown you example accounts that it is possible. It just might take a bit longer. And just think about what is your gift. If you're really good at writing, you can probably write amazing carousels. But if you're better at like short, snappy bullet points than making a B-roll video where you're like working on the computer, where you have like a nice hook and then just a checklist of things that interest people, would be a much easier format than trying to write a very nice and engaging carousel. It's all about working with your strengths. So even though we are mainly focusing on growth, like we are only focusing on growth, I did include this slide in case you decide to nurture your audience and to sell to them eventually. So in case you have started posting for 2 months, you've been posting, you grew 200 followers, and now you realize, okay, let's monetize these people. How would this look like? So you would switch from 80% growth content to only 20% growth content and 60% nurture content and 20 sales content. And then for this type of content, you have your specific formats, carousels, photos, or stories. And for sales, stories is the best place to sell because there you can directly put links that lead to your offer. What is a nurture content? Nurture content is essentially content that builds trust with your audience, that shows them you as an expert in your field, that really brings results and also creates the connection with you as a person. So, trust, nurture content is anything about your personal life, everyday life, and behind the scenes of you as a business, as an expert. And sales content are things like case studies that showcase results, projects, for example, portfolio, if you're a designer, and offer so direct promotions. I can tell you right away the direct promotions on Instagram don't really work on any social media network because people don't want to be sold to. So you need to disguise it under some value content. So for example, if you're showing a case study, you can in the end include call to action that brings people to your offer. But I would never post anything that's, hey, this is my service, this is how much it costs, buy from me. People will ignore it completely. So now we're going to go step by step in identifying growth content for your niche. I'm going to show you where you're going to find it, how you're going to structure it, and where you're going to save it. So once you start planning your content calendar, you can find all of these growth content ideas, and you will know that this is something that has viral potential, that it has worked already, and this is something that will bring you maximum results when you start posting. So we start with understanding target audience. Yesterday, I already mentioned these things, but this is the favorite exercise that I do in order to understand my target audience, what they want, what problems they face, and how I can help them with my offer. And basically, creating content based on just the problems and desires of your target audience and making it super specific can bring you growth real fast. So the exercise is you writing down 10 problems your audience faces, 10 existing solutions and why they don't work for them, 10 ultimate desires, ideal states of where your audience wants to get, like, I don't know, 1,000 followers, and 10 benefits of your product in comparison to existing solutions that don't work for them. And then you can use these templates to turn them into very specific hooks that address a problem and gives them a solution that addresses an existing solution and contrasts it to yours better solution that tells them where they like that addresses where they want to go, their ultimate desire, and gives them a specific solution how to get it. Or tells them how your solution is more beneficial than ours and describes it in a very specific way. So this is the first way in creating content that your audience wants to see and that addresses your perfect audience specifically, your ideal client specifically, because it's all based on what they want and the problems that they have right now. And just by doing this exercise, you can end up already with 40 content ideas that you can fill in your content database. But if you don't want to do this exercise yourself, although I encourage you to use your brain and think yourself because you need to understand your ideal client, you need to understand the struggles that they're going through. But in case you don't want to do it or you need some new, fresh ideas, you can use this prompt for ChatGPT. So he gives you this list of 10 problems, 10 ultimate desires, existing solutions, and benefits of your solution. And then you can use these templates to combine them into very specific hooks that address your target audience. Then the next step of how you can discover, yeah.
Sorry, so if you fed ChatGPT all your marketing plan and your branding and all of that, like he should technically know what my target audience and what the pain points and so forth are, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can just use this script, and if he already knows everything about your target audience, he should be able to produce. But make sure that like he's super specific, yeah, and maybe also give him this template so he directly doesn't just give you this list, but tell them to give him this list, and then also tell him to combine them under this template into content ideas that are very specific.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely want to come up with some of my own stuff, but I just wanted to know like if I do want some more input. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, brainstorming with ChatGPT is really great. Then the next way to find growth content is through your competitors. So on Instagram, we will have two types of competitors. Those who are already big and will act as our role model, somebody whom we can look up to and reverse engineer because they have achieved where we want to go. And then there will be more direct competitors that are of our size, slightly smaller, bigger. We can monitor those people, but they are most likely in the same phase as us and they're trying to figure things out. But if we do see that something really works well for your smaller competitors, that like all of a sudden their reel goes viral, we need to note it and also try to reproduce this. But usually I recommend starting with the bigger competitors who are already successful and understand how they got there. So I'm going to show you now a way how we can find viral content from our competitors and use it for ourselves. Before we go into looking for viral content, we need to understand that in every niche, virality will be different. For some niches, viral content will be the content that brings you 50 million views. But in, like, for example, in the dog world, 1 million is good, but you can definitely go for 40 million, 50 million, that's possible views, yeah. But in some very niche industries, 200,000 might also already be considered viral. So you need to create a sort of benchmark what works and what is considered viral in your niche. So when you select this, I don't know, 10, I recommend 10 competitors who are already successful. You start going through their content and you start copy pasting from their feed into your Excel sheet everything that has gone viral. So this is a method, but before we go to that method, I just want to like give you a how to identify what goes viral for your competitors. Usually your competitor will have an average view on their post. So for example, if we go to my dog, we will see that on average it's like 3,000, 5,000, 6,000. Yeah, between 3 and 6,000, this is an average. Then we will have a few pieces of content that are double that, but generally this is average. And then we will see some that are 5 times the average or 10 times the average, or maybe even over a million. So going through the competitors and understanding what is their average views number, and then finding the post that went 5 times more than the average will tell you what worked for them. So you want to find those videos that are at least 5 times the average view, open them, and over here, you have this little arrow. If you press here on your phone, you have to do it on your phone because the desktop version is real shit. Next time I'll need to figure out how I can use my phone for these workshops. But on your phone, you will have a possibility to copy the link. So when you press this one, wait a second here. Okay, on the desktop version, the copy link is in these three dots, and then you copy the link and you put it into your Excel sheet. The Excel sheet I will provide to you, but here how it will look like. And here would be your viral, do you see it? Here will be your tab with the viral content, and you will put this link here. You would write down the hook of this post. So what was the hook? Do this exercise for 5 minutes on every walk to strengthen the recall. You would write the hook here. You would write the hook here. Then you can choose the format. If it's a reel, then the type, if it, in this case, educational. Then you also would need to copy the hook in the caption, because the caption hook also determines how whether people will read it. And this, the first sentence in the caption is the caption hook. So you will copy it in here. Then, for example, what's it about? An exercise. You can shortly give a description. Then number of views, 65,000. Number of engagement, you can write it down. For example, this was 1.2K likes. But this engagement doesn't matter so much. It's just also for you to have the benchmark of how well people are engaging in your niche. But this is what you need to do. This is what you need to understand. And then you go through your competitors. And by the way, in this sheet that I provide, there is also the competitor. And here you would be able to do this competitor research. You would put their name, their link, and I advise you just to go with 10 competitors. Like, you don't need more. 10 best, closest competitors to where you want to go with your niche, with your business. You write them down here. So you have the links to them, and then you start going through their content. And literally, this is a lot of work. Margarita knows this. She has done this in the last 2 weeks nonstop. And you just go through the competitors and you look for reels that are at least 5 times higher than the average. And I saw there was one somewhere up here. This one is even 10 times higher than the average. And again, you put the link here, you write down the caption, the hook, how we learn back step-by-step tutorial. You copy in here the caption hook, and then you write down like this is the exercise also, and then you write down the number of views. And you have to create a table of at least 100 viral reels like this in order to be able to understand what works in your niche and what has the viral potential and how you could use this for yourself. So again, here in the presentation is a step-by-step screenshot tutorial. You identify the competitor, you identify their average views, and then you start looking for something that has higher views. Because, for example, this girl, she has more than 1 million followers, so her average will be at 300, between 300,000 and 600,000. These ones are not viral reels for her, they are average. They might look like a lot for us, but for her, they are average. They are not the ones that worked. So we need to find the ones that were at least 5 times higher in the reach, like these ones or this one. And those would be viral for her account, and we will save them in the collection and then copy into our Excel sheet, or we directly copy them in the Excel sheet. So you can, I will send you the link to this Excel sheet in the chat right now, so you can copy it to yourself. But it's also in the presentation, copy link, and I'm sending it to the chat. You can also, when you get this presentation, you can get there through this QR code. I will also add here the link. Wait a second. And I cannot emphasize this enough. Without doing this research, you won't be able to know what is the viral content in your niche and what content has the viral potential and what you should be creating in order to go viral and in order to increase your following. Do you have questions to this first viral research strategy?
So it's not, if it goes viral, it's not necessarily dependent on, like, if it's a big account that already has heaps of followers and is like a very famous person, for example, like they have, do they automatically have a higher tendency of having a viral video or viral reel than someone who's only got like 2,000 followers? Like,
Yeah, no, they don't automatically have that. Um, they might have like they might go viral more often because they, in order to get to that higher following, they probably have understood already what content they need to produce to go viral. So this is the only reason why, but you can see that even for her with over 1 million followers, 1, 2, 3. So this is 12 reels, and only one of them has gone viral. So yes, they might go viral twice a month, but it doesn't guarantee that every reel will be so successful because most likely for these ones, these are the followers. Most of them are the followers who are watching this.
okay.
And I can show also, we can look a bit in the analytics. So for example, this, let's take this one, an average reel. If we look at the insights, we have 84% of followers and 15 of non-followers. And this is usually the case. So the average reels that have average number of views will mostly be coming from your followers. Yes, the same here, exactly the same. And those that really shoot out and have at least 5 times higher views, like this one, will be primarily non-followers. See, exactly the opposite. So this is what this is the thing. In order to increase reach and reach new people, increase your following, you need to aim for non-followers. So you need to produce more and more content of the new of the non for the non-followers. Let's have a look at this one. This is also exactly the opposite to what we saw with the average reel. So yeah, you might go viral more frequently because you understand what you need to produce in order to go viral. But even if you have a million views, doesn't mean followers, it doesn't mean that like you will be going viral all the time. You still need to produce corresponding content so that the non-followers actually watch it. So this is the competitor research strategy. Let's have a look at the viral content research strategy. If we, for example, don't have so many competitors, or we don't have so many competitors that were successful and that have gone viral so much, what we can do is we can find the viral content just generally in our niche based on keywords. So how does it work? I will show you on the screenshot. So this is only possible to see again to do in um, a mobile version, because if I go on my computer on Instagram and if I go into the search tab, I will not be able to even if I write copywriting, it will only give me accounts and non-personalized also only accounts. But if I, on my phone, go into the search, if I find this search icon and I write a keyword over here and I go to the Reels tab, I will be able to see content from whatever creators, even those that I don't know. I can also discover new competitors to me and or new role models, accounts that I can learn from. But generally, you will see all the content that's being produced with this keyword in this, and this keyword obviously has to be related to your themes, to your topics. And then you're gonna identify all the viral content. And here we don't know anymore what is the average view count of these individual people, yeah, whose content is shown here. So I usually say we look at all the content pieces above 1 million. So everything above 1 million we will consider as the viral content with this strategy. And we will again go into this post and copy the link into our content database. Exactly the same. So we will go through this and save it in our Excel sheet, just exactly as we did with our competitors. So what I want you to do now is take 5 minutes, take your phones and go to your favorite role model, somebody whom you want to be like, and go through their reels and identify the ones that are 5 times higher views than the average and save them into a collection that's called viral reels. And to save that in the collection, here are the screenshots. So when you find the reel you want to save, you press this over here, the save button. And if you don't have a collection, then you can create a collection with viral reels and then you save it in there. And I want you to start populating that collection. Every time you're scrolling on Instagram and you find a viral reel, I want you to populate that collection because I want you to have a very good idea of what content has viral potential. And then I also want you to take this 5 minutes and go into the search area on Instagram, type in your keyword and go to the Reels section and find Reels that have more than 1 million views and also save them to your collection. So let's take now 5 minutes until 18:20, also combine it with the break, and you'll just play around on your phones and try to identify the viral content. Okay? All right, then, oh, welcome back. Okay, have you tried? Do you have any questions to how this works?
I've tried it, but I find it really hard to narrow, like especially if I look for certain topics, I find it really hard to actually know exactly which niche I'm looking for because I feel like I don't really fall into, yeah, it's sort of like
Mm.
not exactly clear which niche I would fall into. Like it's not a coach, it's not. So yeah, that's probably the thing I struggle with. So when I was looking through the different reels, like I found some where when I followed the lady on Instagram, like there's a lot of stuff that she does that's similar to me, but then her posts that for example have gone viral, I know that's a topic that I don't talk about. Like that's not really relevant to my account. So then those don't apply to me, obviously, right?
Mhm. Definitely. So you have to, when you're going through this, when you're doing the research, you need to make sure that it applies to your account. So then I think the first step would be identifying what are the keywords that you can use for searching.
Yeah.
Mm, for example, limiting beliefs. What if you try searching for limiting beliefs, going to the search area right now and then writing the keyword and going to the reels? I can totally imagine exercises to reduce, like get rid of limiting beliefs would be something that people will want to know. Or
Mm.
a
But you
morning
can't look, you can't, like, for example, if I want to combine limiting beliefs and mums, for example, like, can you combine like two or three words trying to search for reels, or is that
you
too much?
can, but it might become very narrow and it might not give you any really viral reels. Um, would an exercise to increase confidence or remove limiting beliefs be different for a mom than for a regular person?
No.
Because remember what we were saying here, that we should not be too narrow in the content that we produce. Mm, So, for example, here I could talk about limiting beliefs and say one morning routine that will remove your limiting beliefs after a month. So this would be falling into a bit more general thing. And
Mhm.
then in your offer, you will be addressing moms. So you have problems with confidence, you lost your identity after pregnancy, after taking care of your family. So this is how I help you. But in order to attract people who have this
Mhm.
problem, you go a bit more broad because in the end, what if a person comes to you who is also a woman but not a mom just yet, but who needs your offer?
Yeah.
Generally, she would also be your potential client. So
Yeah.
we don't want to talk to everyone, but we also don't want to like exclude too much that people cannot discover us.
Hmm. Yeah. Okay.
So I would recommend you to write down a list of keywords. Send me this list of keywords or send it in our WhatsApp group and let's discuss which ones are the most relevant for you. Also think about what of these keywords can you use to create like very specific content with real tips, tutorials, how-tos that will be very helpful for the people. And then we will only stick to those keywords. While you're thinking, I will go upstairs to close the balcony door because my dog is barking like crazy. So, excuse me. I have a dog that hunts birds. He doesn't have his city triggers anymore, like no scooters or other dogs anymore, so he hunts birds because he cannot live peacefully. So, what kind of keywords have you identified?
For now, I was just looking at what comes up if I put in limiting
Ah,
beliefs,
okay.
and just looking through that, what comes up.
Anything good?
Yeah, there's some, and yeah, like you say, it's probably I was probably too focused on just like what relates specifically to mums. So I think yeah, you're right about having like a broader approach, and then you can still turn them into mum relevant things, but just yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. If you specify in the hook a little bit more, but then again, you don't want to exclude too much. Like, I would maybe, if I wanted to niche down even more, I would maybe address women, although there are enough moms. I would test this. It's a bit
yeah,
hard to say what would like bring you the most. Maybe if you do say like these are the limiting belief exercises for moms, maybe all the women that are moms will come to you because there are so many, obviously. Um, but I would also see how other women react if we just do it a bit more general, more broad, and then see what works best.
yeah, okay,
So this is where we stop here. Because at this point, I want you to be able to confidently say that you know what content has the viral potential in your niche. Of course, we are not doing the research at the moment, but when you are going through the slides on your own at home, by this slide, I want you to be certain that you have seen enough viral videos in your niche and you know what you need to be producing to also have the potential to go viral, okay? Whatever is going further on, what we're going to be talking about is not relevant until you are confident that you understand your target audience, you understand what they want to see, and you understand what content they want to see and why it goes viral. Okay. And so from here, we go to actually content creation because now we talked about what we will be posting. And now we're going to talk about how you're going to create that content that you will be posting. So there are lots of different content types that you can create, and they increase in difficulty level. So I don't want you to do research and think, oh my God, I have to start producing cinematic reels. No, because cinematic reels will be over here on top, and it will take you, as an inexperienced person, it will take you like 2 days to create it. As an experienced person, Nika, I don't know if you met her, she did a training with me. She produces a lot of cinematic reels, and it takes her like a day or like at least 5 hours to script, film, and edit one. So we are not gonna talk about this one because that's like when you can outsource to somebody who specializes in creating this kind of reels, amazing. Until then, we need to find formats and reel types that are good enough for you. So the easiest ones over here are something what I call faceless content, something that you can create without even filming anything. So, for example, you can scroll through Instagram, you can discover memes, some sort of like humorous videos, quotes, text carousel, something that you can remix. Have you ever seen that you can remix a reel? Go to your Instagram right now. I guess it's probably not possible on a desktop. And for example, if I go to my own account and if I take a reel and let's see if there is this option. No, there is not this option. But if you go to somebody's account, like even my account, and you press the three dots um, at the video, you will have an option that says remix. So you can take that video, put your own stuff on top and remix. And I will show you examples of remix stuff that I have done, which basically like let me create content piece in under a minute. So I found this meme and then I remixed it and I just stitched it with a a quick video of a website that I have done. And all I did, I just put my own caption over here, my own hook. Another one like this, I found this video. This was a compilation that somebody else created. I just took that compilation, I pressed remix, and I just put my own hook over here, and I stitched it with a part of my video. That's this one. And when you have not enough time to create content, or you're just learning and you want to, but you want to post, you can also take some sort of meme and just remix it and just put your own hook here in your brand colors. And there you go, content produced in no time. And for me, these were the best content pieces. So if you see, I'm like at around 600, 800 views. And this one was 3,000. And this one with Emily in Paris was 3,000. So everything that I didn't produce brought better results. Um, so this is the same. If you see another meme, you just take that meme, slap your hook on it, and there you go. Fast content piece. Yeah.
So when you sort of copy a meme or a video from someone else, do you have to then like I know like back in the olden days when you used to write a piece of paper, you had to mention that you copied it from there. Do you
So
have
when
to
you
do that?
remix it, let me have a look. I think it doesn't show it here. I think if I look at it from my phone, yeah, if you look at it at your phone, here will be alternating thing. One will be showing a audio and another one will be showing the original video that I remixed. So if you're using the remix function, it will show the original content over here. You don't see it on the desktop version, but when you remix it, yeah, you can see it. But generally, it's so that people use these memes all the time. There is no way to track down who was the original person that used this copyrighted information. So, and we are all too small for the, I don't know who busts the copyright, like the people who breach the copyright agreement. We are way too small, and all these memes, as long as they're circulating there, we can use them. And if, for example, you want to stitch your own video to a meme that's circulating already here, there is a website. I'm gonna send you this link here in the chat. It's called fastvideosafe.net. I'm gonna drop it here in the chat. And here, when you find a video that you want to stitch with your own or that you want to edit, you're in the Reels section over here, you put it, you press download, and then you can download that video, and then you can edit it on your computer with CapCut. Because I really advise you to edit everything on laptop with CapCut, because if you do it on your phone, it will be way more time consuming and way more painful, and you will hate editing videos more likely than if you do it on the laptop. So use this fastvideosave.net in case you find a video of a meme of a trend that you wanna combine with your own.
But how's it in general if you take things from other people, like I don't know, even if you see a great, I don't know, great sentence or great, I don't know, like you know how they sometimes have just like a, I can't think of the word, but like a quote, that was the word.
Yeah.
Um, if you take a quote from someone else, do you have to?
Yeah, if it's a quote, for sure. If it's a meme, usually you don't know who is the author. And
Yeah.
if it's a meme based on a popular movie series or culture, everyone is using it, so you can use it as well. But if you are really quoting a person, you can, because like Emily in Paris, people will recognize that's Emily in Paris. So I don't even like try to pretend that it's
Mm.
mine. I'm just integrating myself in the pop culture content. But if you're taking a quote or if you're taking information from somebody else's book, I would also advise you to cite it, because I think that's pretending that those are your ideas or your quotes is more is worse than just integrating yourself in the pop culture.
Yeah.
Okay, then we move one step further where you actually have to film your own content. And we have four quiet, easy content formats that I would advise you to start with when you're just in the beginning. So you have a talking head. So you've seen this many times. You just put the camera in front of yourself, you sit down at a chair, you have your script, and you just start reading that script out loud into the camera. Then you cut out all the dead air, cut out all the ams and ums, and make it fast paced. In the beginning, always has to be a hook, and that's it. You have a very easy talking head video. Usually, you want to preserve like a recognizable background, so it's the same, or you want to include some sort of LED lights. So if you put those into the background, that's like something that you see a lot of creators do. It's also good if those LED lights are branded with your color. So if your brand color is blue or green, you can find those in every possible color. And yeah, super easy, provides a lot of content. But you need to make sure that it corresponds to everything that we discussed before, that it's specific, actionable, provides tips, tricks, very concrete steps that people can implement on their own. Then another content format that's also very easy to do is this podcast type of format. Um, it can be if you're ever at a podcast, you can really just record yourself, or if like you're giving a workshop like this, I can just record myself and post it as pieces of content on Instagram. But I can also pretend that I am giving a podcast or like that I'm giving a workshop. So, for example, I can pretend that somebody asked me a question, and like I can set up an environment that looks like I'm in a podcast, and basically the question would be your hook, and then you're answering to that question, and you just post that as a piece of content. People like watching podcast cutouts if they are very value dense, and it also shows that you are an authority in your field because you're invited to speak at other people's podcasts or events. Then another content format that's very easy to do is B-rolls. And I like doing those because all you need to create a good B-roll video is two elements. You need the first video where you are making eye contact with the camera or with the audience, where you include the hook. So the first 2-3 seconds is where you include the hook. Okay, this one is not a B-roll, sorry. Here is the same. Somewhere where you look into the camera, you that's like your hook video, and then you just record yourself working and you provide very specific content, checklists, tutorials, tips in the B-roll, on top of the B-roll, and that's it. Like people just read this, they read the caption, and that's super actionable, and they will save it in order to come back to it later. These are very easy to do. Um, I don't do enough of those. I should do way more of those. Yes.
So in this case, you had the eye contact, and then we saw you from behind. I've also seen heaps of B-roll ones where it's just, for example, like the river flowing or something like that. But do you think it's better, like if especially if you have like a personalized where you trying to create that connection, that you are like as the person, you create that eye contact because that's more
Yeah.
personal than just like, I know, showing some beautiful scenery, still with great information, but
Yeah, I would avoid faceless content because you are a business and you want to create a connection with your audience. You want to create some sort of rapport, and you need to make sure that people like your vibe, especially if you are in a business that is very personal, where you're working on an like a very intimate level with the person. You need to show yourself because they don't want to be coming to like they wouldn't contact a person they've never seen for something very personal. You can combine, of course, but as you see, usually there is a piece where you're like looking into the camera, and then you can stitch it to whatever it is. You can stitch it to a lake, or you can stitch it to something else. But I would always try to add at least one piece where you're looking into the camera or where you're showing yourself. But these things with the B-rolls where you show yourself work is super easy to do. You need, I don't know, 1 minute to record yourself and 5 minutes to edit it. This is like the go-to format when you're starting out. Or the other ones, the pointing head, it's not really a pointing head, it's a pointing finger. This is the format that I started with last year, and I had a lot of those. So I think maybe this one might be one of those where I was just like pointing and stuff, and there was like just text coming out. This one, this one was a very stupid one because I was imitating a trend. But yes, so I had all of this pointing stuff, like I was making eye contact during the hook and then just text coming out. So a lot of these 5 best social media strategies, again, hook in the beginning and then just text coming out. Or again here, hook in the beginning, 3 boring social media tips that actually work, and then those tips. Anything else here? For example, also pointing the hook in the beginning, pointing at the hook, and then pointing at the tips. So these ones are super easy to do, and you don't need so much time to record them. All you need to plan is the hook and what you're gonna put in the main video. And what was missing for the last few examples that I showed you from mine were call to actions, because you want to make sure every video has a call to action. At least save it for later so that the people do take that action to signal to the algorithm that it's a good content. Do you have any questions to these types of content that you could produce?
Yeah, the one with the pointing finger, for example. So you have your hook and then you give the information with pointing. Do you then still write something in the like, is the caption where you then write more, or is that just all
Definitely.
the information that you give?
No, in the caption, I unwrap the whole thing. So
Okay.
usually, for a smaller account, you want to produce more, you want to write longer captions because you want to create as many keywords as possible in order for people to find your content, because everything that you use here is a keyword. So you want to make it keyword rich and you want to have a long caption. Because like you see in the beginning when I was posting a year ago, when I just started, my content had way more views and was way more successful because I started with a specific strategy, and so I grew my audience. Um, and all of my captions were super long, and I was always providing, okay, not here, but I was always providing as much information as possible, and it was super, super actionable, so people could directly learn from it. Or I also like did trends like this. Um, so I had a combination of actionable reels and trends, and I would like try to do at least 60% of the actionable, super helpful reels and maybe 30% of trends, but everything was growth content. I didn't post any stories, hardly any carousels. I didn't try to sell, just tried to grow my audience. Right now, for me, it's a bit different because I switched from those helpful tips. I switched more in the direction of humor because I just want to demonstrate my character, and I think there are so many funny things that I can do. So I switched more into humorous content, and they're more like complicated to do. There is more storytelling. But I like it. But if I wanted to grow my account again, I would switch back to this helpful content and would just like max out all of this growth content to make sure that people are saving my stuff so that they're connecting, saving, commenting, and so the algorithm is pushing my content to more people whose problems I can solve. So the third level is content, also talking head videos, but already advanced talking head videos. Talking head videos that have animations. And I'm going to show you an example. I tried some of those and they are tricky to do. So they don't only have animations, they also have different angles and different frames, movement, there is something constantly switching. And of course, because there is so much movement going on, people like this. It looks a bit more experty, a bit more professional. But it does take more time to do. I need to plan every angle. I need to plan every shot. I need to plan what animations I'm going to do. And I need to be able to even use those animations. So unless you have become like very fast at creating content, I wouldn't recommend you this. This is another example where I have a hook in the beginning, there is the zoom in effect, then there is a different angle, some movement, some filters, then I'm showing something else. So it's constantly changing, some frames. It's already the next level and it takes time to edit one video like this. Another one at this level is something with voiceover. So you could, instead of doing what I did over there, I also can show you one example of what I mean. Actually, we already saw it. I'm not sure. Does this one have a voiceover? I'm sorry. This one doesn't have a voiceover. But for example, if we wanted to create a video like this, I could basically put a voiceover on top of this so people don't have to read, and you just combine different angles, different clips. You have the voiceover, you have the text, and this way it's another type of expert video, but you're not talking into it, because this way you would have to memorize everything and make sure that like you can talk well into the camera. You can prepare the script and read the voiceover on top of those clips. But again, this requires a lot of planning. So you need to plan the order of all of your reels. You need to know, okay, first the hook, then this, then this, then this. You need to plan the angles, and this is time consuming. And then the final one is the floating head. Let me see if I can find a floating head example fast enough. In the very beginning, I have tested a few of those, although in the beginning I was just making this pointing stuff. Yes, I think this one. It will start soon. You see how bad the quality used to be in comparison to how now with all these LEDs and so on. But you can start even without all this fancy equipment, without the softbox lights or anything. Like this will also work. This was a super long introduction. But so this is a floating head. This is where you record your screen, or you can record anything. You can record the notes from your phone. You can record your computer, and you just cut out the background of yourself and you slap it on top as a floating head. This one is very loved on Instagram. and TikTok. I think this is another example of this.
So you have to easily spy on your competitors. This is the feature that nobody knows about, and if you do know about it, comment on this post and I'm going to give you a shout out. Go to business suit.
Again, I'm recording my screen and I'm also recording myself, and then I'm putting myself on top of this recorded screen. Why is it also hard to do? Because you need to record first what you're showing on the background, especially if you're changing something all the time. You need to know what you're gonna say and in what order you're going to be changing things. Of course, you can also just put on the like a article from a newspaper on the background and just record yourself talking about this article, and then it will be just a static background. But if you're showing something like this, then you need to write the script of what you are gonna say. Then you have to be showing it and speaking into the camera, plus you have to record what's going to happen in the background. So this also already the next level of editing skills. Then one more is a talking head and script, and I don't have my personal examples, but there is, if I'm gonna remember how this called, this Russian guy who also teaches Instagram. Maybe he's on Ukrainian. Oh, I'm not gonna. Mm, I need to switch to my own account in order to find him, I think. And this is the level where you're gonna get when you have either super good skills at editing, or you can hire somebody to do this for you. So this guy is pretty big. He also teaches Instagram, and he creates a lot of this talking head and script. So let's see if I can find any of those. So basically he starts, yes, this is the type. He starts with the hook and then he shows some kind of clips or something from whatever he's talking about. He incorporates still the pieces of his talking head. It's still there, but he adds a lot of other clips in between. So this means that you have to plan your script. You have to record yourself saying that. Then you have to research those clips or film them from like some events, and then you have to edit it all together. And it's not so easy to do. So this is a different type. This is like more cinematic. This is also like a movie. So this is the hook. Right, exactly. And he's against teaching it with other clips. So that means you have to record yourself doing the talking into the camera. You need to plan the whole script. You need to plan all the additional clips, research or film them. And to record something like this would take a long time, or you make sure that you constantly record yourself to be able to stitch it together. But if you plan to record this video in like everything at once, that's multiple locations, that's multiple days of time, and it's really difficult. So this is like already the very high level. And the final one is a script slash movie, those cinematic videos. I will give you an example of a guy who only produces these kind of videos. He, I think, was he's a full-time digital creator, and you can only produce those videos if you are a full-time digital creator. So I don't know which one of these, like he's also sitting talking. So now this is more like previous one. No, not this. But this is also the top two levels. Okay, this is too much talking into the camera. This is still talking head. Wait a second, I'll try to go through because he does a lot of talking heads, but he's doing these talking heads that are stitched with other clips that are not so easy to produce. Who would be a good example? Well, let's go to my student Nika. She makes a lot of those cinematic reels, and she tells me that they take a long time. So you have to plan the step by step every video, like every step of the video, and then you need to plan the effects that you're adding there. I think there is also voiceover.
Dark or spiders.
Yeah, exactly. There is a voiceover. You see, there are so many angles. There are close-ups. There are wide angles. There are super fancy fonts, and things are constantly changing. So hard to do.
Honestly,
So time-consuming.
I stopped.
So when we are starting, we're gonna start here. We're gonna as experts in businesses, we're gonna take one of these formats or two of these formats, and we're gonna stick to them. And once we get better at video production, we can also include some additional animations or clips, or maybe do some background removal. And at the time when we can outsource, we can hire somebody like Nika to do our cinematic videos that take a whole day to make. Faceless content, memes, and remixing is a very easy way to do content, but I would like maximum to 20% in your whole strategy of this type of content, because humor and everything is good, and if the joke fits your personality, do it. I'm only for fun content, but you need to show yourself, and you need to position yourself as the knowledgeable person in that area. So before we go to the exercise, do you have any questions to the formats that we just discussed? Okay. So I want you to think about this question for 1 second. What format could be your style? Like, what could you imagine yourself doing? Because some people will say, I'm gonna just go like with B-rolls all the time, just B-rolls. And some people will say, no, I just want to do like floating heads and like do a lot of background removal. But you need to identify one recognizable style. It's essential. You have one signature format. You're not like me switching between signature formats. Like I started with the pointing things, and now I'm something in between. I'm not sure. But people will come to you because they liked how you did that content, and they will want to have more of that. And as you see, of these people that I showed you, these big Instagram people, like he has the same stuff. He recorded it in the same day. Look, he has the same outfit all the time. So he batch created in 1 day, and he just like then edited and posted it over the entire month. Look, he is wearing exactly the same. In these videos, he just took off his hat. So, and people still, so many people still follow him because of the stuff he says, and probably because of the lighting and so on. So, and then what again? How was this? Me? Yeah, and this guy, he mainly has these ones where he also like sits and says something into the camera, and then stitches it with the different types of clips, exactly what we've seen. Or he has this like movie-like things where he makes jokes, like he makes a lot of those like really crazy, no, this is a video, like very crazy scenes, like little mini movies. And people recognize them exactly for this kind of content, and they come to see more of that. So you need to have one recognizable style that is truly you and that works for your audience. So I want you to think for like 10 seconds what that could be. What does your gut tell you? If you want, you can tell me, we can discuss and chat about it, or you can just like save it as an idea for yourself.
Question. So previously I've done a few videos where I just sort of talk into the camera. where I like, for example, where I relate to my own story, or where I talk about like how I've noticed differences within like my life, which is something that I obviously want to put out there because that's something where other women can relate to.
Mhm.
So how would I put something like that into a reel that then catches people's attention? Would I just then use a cover with a hook and then have my talking video, or how would I?
Yeah, talking videos, just talking into the camera, are a bit tricky. Maybe I would simulate a podcast because if you're just telling a story about yourself, pretending that it's a podcast and like you're answering somebody's question, that could be a way to go. But those videos usually the videos where you're just sitting and talking into the camera, they are not engaging enough for people to watch it till the end. So your story has to be so strong and your hook has to be so strong so people are actually interested in just listening to the text. Um,
So what would be a better approach to still be in there personally in a way, but also give like obviously a personal experience is a longer story. So how could you combine that?
So everything that has to do with storytelling, it's usually one of these ones. So you could start telling the thing into the camera and then in between put a few clips of going to school, picking up kids, doing something in the family, cooking in the kitchen, then talking again into the camera, and all the meantime you have a voiceover telling the story, but it's a bit tricky. The
Mm.
storytelling is really already like moving in the direction of a movie, of like a film type of reel. And for this to work, it has to be this a bit more complicated. You can sit and talk. You can start with if you're just sitting and talking in front of the camera, you can include at least a few animations. Like maybe when you're back, you come to my reel creation workshop. It's in German,
Hmm.
but you know German, so it's okay. I show you keyframes, how you can do these animations and zoom in, zoom out, how to use masks in order to create those effects to make the talking head a bit more interesting. But unfortunately, just having the talking head is tricky because people don't have enough attention to sit and listen to a story. And maybe and this content type might not, like telling your own story might not be, unless it's done in one of these formats, it might not be the right growth content for you. So you can focus 80% on the growth content, giving like a lot of helpful tips to the people, and just do 20% of the storytelling and telling about yourself in a less engaging format, not expecting that it will go viral.
Yeah.
So this combination would be totally fine, but you just need to understand that this type of content will not go viral, will not bring you
Hmm.
new followers, but it is very good at nurturing your followers, creating this connection, and make them consider to take the next step.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because in the end, like, and that's where you're right in that aspect, that is probably more for the nurturing sequence, because in the end, like at that point, I want people to be able to relate to that story because they then want to go that to that next step because they want to have the same thing and they
Yeah.
want to have the same experience. So yeah, no, it makes perfect sense then. Yeah.
Yeah, you could totally just record it and post it in the stories without any editing. So people who already know you and care about you, they would listen. Okay, then there is a thing that's called the real mood, and basically, there are three main ones. This is education, where you share a lot of value. I mean, everything here is value, because when people say provide a lot of value, I think people often don't know what it means. So, value is when a content piece teaches you something, makes you laugh, or makes you feel something. So, one of those three things is value driven content. And so this way we have three real moods, as I call them. We have educational, emotional, and entertaining. And so here are some statistics that show what content mood people prefer on Instagram. And funny reels, something with a joke or meme or something quirky, is more people will react to this and will prefer to watch this than inspirational content. So quotes, thoughts, and so on is less popular than fun, because we need to think about why people are on social media. They are there to turn off their head, to relax after a working day, or to get distracted during a work meeting. So they want some entertainment. So they will come for entertainment. And if it fits our brand, we can give them as entertainment. But it doesn't mean that your entertainment will only be will only be like stupid and funny. Maria is a student from the previous workshop who has gone viral with her reels. What she does really, really well is that she takes social topics, something that really concerns people, and she puts it in a funny format. So it's very much full of irony. And so, for example, this one, she compares the differences between generations at a job interview, but in a very funny way. But why this works so well is because people do talk about it. Yeah, employers, they say, oh, Gen Zs, they don't work so well or so many hours. They all want to be unemployed and work remotely. And boomers don't know how to use a computer and things like this. So all of these are social topics that people are concerned about. And she just combined humor and something that provokes people, that makes them think, that polarizes them, and then she puts it together. Another one that went viral was where she compared another social injustice as a salary gap between men and women and how they negotiate salaries. And so she did it in a funny way with these filters and dressing up, but that video like disrupted the internet at that point. People were commenting like crazy, super long comments, fighting over all this stuff because really it was a social topic that made many people feel and think. So yes, funny is good, ironic is good, but it doesn't have to mean that it has to be stupid. It can also be very relevant. Then creative posts are anything very unusual, interesting. For example, a nice cinematic video or something, some artistic video. That also something unusual that people don't see so commonly. This is what people a lot of people react to very well. And then educational or informative content is already sees less preference among Instagram users. The relaxing and inspirational content even less. So you need to know what people want to see on Instagram in order to be able to create content that people want to see. So I would ask you to take 5 minutes now and think for yourself, okay, what would be your three content types and in what mood would you want to create those content? For example, you want to say that you are a very social person and you actually want to show people like what other people out there are doing, and you say, I'm gonna go and do street surveys, and this is gonna be my main format that I will be known for. And there are people who basically went super popular and famous on Instagram just through doing street surveys. And it will be in a fun and entertaining way. Will be your main go-to signature format. But then you can also do less time-consuming formats like a B-roll that shows stats, facts, tables, tutorials, checklist stuff like this, something that you can record and edit under 5 minutes. And you can also add one more format that's a carousel giving some sort of longer information. But 3 would just be maximum. I would recommend you to choose your one main format and then some supporting ones, and just think about how you could structure them. So just take 5 minutes and write down your thoughts, some ideas. Or if you want, we can discuss it. We can also talk about it. Okay. So when you have chosen this will become the content that you plan and create in advance. But you can always, of course, post when you feel especially inspired or you achieved something and you really want to share something from your heart. That's okay. And usually inspiration-driven posts are the ones that people will resonate with the most. And in those cases, if you don't have anything pre-recorded, you can always just post a selfie that's super relatable and people like those. I would recommend, so I do it every now and again. So when something happens to me, I'll just take a selfie and I'll just post it. And usually it just makes sure you don't just post one photo, but you combine it with another photo. Because if you remember yesterday, what Instagram does when you post a carousel is that if people don't engage the first time, it gives them the opportunity to engage again by showing the second photo. And like, for example, when I passed my German history exam, Austrian history exam, I posted the photo from the car, and so many people resonated with this. So many people liked it because they wanted to support me in that very moment. So prepare like content posted in advance is very good. But for example, here I felt just super emotional and I just shared this one video because I was that day driving to my course and I was talking about meta ads, and it was in the Digital World Academy, and there were so many marketers, and I felt like, oh my God, like these people say when we do the introduction round that I have 20 years of marketing research, and I'm like, and I have 3. So, and I shared it and people were so supportive and they all engaged with this. So it's okay to post when things happen in that very moment. And this is called reactive content, but you have to do proactive content that you plan in advance if you want to grow. That's non-negotiable. So if you're doing one of those expert reels, like talking head and so on, they will all have this very structure. They will all start with the hook first 2-3 seconds. If you aren't sure how long your hook shot should be, try reading it out loud. And if you manage to read the whole hook out loud in that period of time, then you can keep it for like 2 seconds. If you can't read it out loud in that short amount of time, then make it a bit longer. But generally 3 seconds is a good way to go. Then you will have the main body where you unwrap that topic further. So you engage with the topic, you introduce a problem, you make aware of the solution, you offer the solution, and then you have some sort of conclusion. And in the end, you will always have call to action. Always have call to action. And it can either be to spike engagement and asking a question so people answer that question in the comment. I like to tell people to save that reel because it's usually a tutorial or something helpful, and I want them to come back to it later because saving is also very good for the algorithm. But you can decide on your own what call to action, but there has to be one. Hello, Maria. So this is a more visual example. So you have the hook. It's like a written hook and a visual hook. Then you have the main body that explains and walks through the problem and the solution. And in the end, you have call to action. Here is the more sales call to action, but it can be a question, it can be save, follow me. It's okay to ask people to follow you. We should not assume that they know what to do. We should actually tell them so they don't have to think, so they just can press that button. So common mistakes when people produce content, first of all, not doing the research, not understanding what the content has viral potential and just like posting whatever they think is right, not trying to understand how Instagram works, not trying to understand what people want to see, and just posting something and then complaining about Instagram not working, but usually it's not the platform, it's their content. But other things include bad hook, and yes, there are many bad hooks, and today we went through what would make a very good hook. Hooks that are unreadable, like if you make it super small or you use a font that's not legible, people will not be able to understand it and engage with it, and they will just continue scrolling. So when you choose a font, make sure it's readable and it's big enough from far away. Another common mistake is making it too educational, providing too much information, giving too many ideas in just one video, or making it too general. So you need to make sure that you have one main idea, and if you don't have one clear main idea, you also lose people. If you have a long introduction, I showed you one video like this from like when I was just starting out, and where we were like, oh my God, just get to the point and start showing me how to do this, right? The introduction was probably like half of the video. Introduction should be quick, fast, and you need to get to the point as soon as possible. You should use super easy language. You have fourth grade language. You should not avoid any obvious content which does not provide any new information, any new tips or insights for the people. You should not do it theory-based. It shouldn't be general. It has to be super actionable. And you need to include examples, visuals, concrete, specific information that proves to the people that what you are doing is right. When you're writing the caption, so until now we were talking about the video content. What do you need to consider when you are writing your captions? We already mentioned that for smaller accounts, longer captions are best because you can populate them with more keywords. You also need to make sure that your caption is readable. Avoid long paragraph. Nobody wants to read long paragraphs. Break them down in one sentence lines. Use bullet points where possible. Dumb it down to the fourth grade level. Just ask yourself when you write the caption, would your child understand it, or would like a neighbor's child understand it? If not, dumb it down. And you can even in the beginning, when you're just learning to do this, there is this tool and it's called Hemingway app. And this app, when you provide a text, it will tell you the readability and what grade readability grade level it has. And we want to write text that's fourth grade here. So if in the beginning you're unsure how complicated your text is, put it in here, let it evaluate it, and then take its suggestions to how to improve it. Yes, ChatGPT can also do this, but this app is only for this. ChatGPT can do a lot of things, but you can also get very distracted when you go into ChatGPT. And if you use this one, you will use it for one specific reason, and it's very good and fast. Then try to reduce repetition and redundant content, and avoid imperatives of passive voice. So try to write in an active voice. So I, you, and so on. Don't avoid passive voice, so because it's very hard to read for people. Also formal language, avoid that. And be specific, give a lot of value, give a lot of examples, a lot of tips. And my final recommendation to you, about using ChatGPT to write your captions, do not do this. Because people will recognize that it's AI written. Everyone knows this. Most of the people know it. And if people read in your text that it's AI written, and they will be like, okay, does this person have nothing to say on their own? Do they not have their opinion or voice? Because essentially, even if you ask ChatGPT to, somehow improve your caption, people will not know how much of this is written by you, and then their opinion of you will get worse because they will think that you just like asked ChatGPT to write this whole thing. Ask any professional copywriter, they will tell you to not use ChatGPT to write your full captions because it does not sound real, it has no personality, it does not have your voice. But if you have written enough with your own voice and personality, you have enough material to train ChatGPT, then you can create your custom GPT and it will learn exactly the way you write. And then you will be able to use that custom GPT to produce content that sounds like you. But until you have created enough of your own content, you cannot expect ChatGPT to sound like you. So please don't do this because people want to connect with real people and people do recognize when it's AI written. And I didn't include any stats, but I can send them to you if you want. More than 60% of people will recognize if a text was written by AI. So now we talked about how to research viral content. Now we talked about how we write hooks. Now we talked about what format our content will have, what our signature format will look like. Now we need to take it from our content database and we need to put it into a content calendar. So a content calendar for me looks like this, and this is also in that file that I shared with you. Here is the content calendar. You have the date, you have your hook. This is the funnel, basically top of the funnel, we know growth content, middle of the funnel, nurture content, bottom of the funnel is the sales content. Then you have your hook, then you have your type, then you have your video script, caption, cover image if you need it, hashtags if you need it, upsell. We will talk about upsells. References, like you said, if you need to cite somebody's work, you can mention it here. Any special notes, status, and after every month, I strongly advise you to analyze and literally obsess about performance of every single reel, see how many accounts it reached, what was the CVR, the follower conversion rate, and try to reproduce more of those. So my content calendar, I actually don't do it in an Excel because I use Notion for most of my work. And I have this table in Notion that's exactly the same: date, funnel, type, hook, information on the post, video script, caption, and any references, or like I also add here links to the songs. And then if it's scheduled or posted or just recorded or not even started. So this is how your calendar would look like. We will not be filling it out right now, but if you have any questions to the calendar, like ask me, and you're gonna get this Excel sheet, so you will have something to start with when you start planning your content. All clear? Okay. So now we have one before last section. We're gonna go through this. Maria joined a bit early. I thought we were gonna come to the sales. So Maria wanted to join for the launch on Instagram, but we still have to go through these two short sections. So I would say we go through them now, then we take a break, and then we cover the launch in more details because this is why Maria joined today. So, content creation. What do we need to actually be able to create content? We need the following things. If you don't have anything, I recommend you to just use natural light, do it in front of the window, but avoid any direct sunlight because it will make you squint and it will just look really hard. It will create hard shadows and it will not look flattering. I would actually recommend to use something that's a bit more controllable and that makes your face look much nicer is using one of the softbox lights. Softbox lights are the lights with a lot of surface over here, and this allows it to distribute the light more evenly over your face so it doesn't create any hard shadows. So hard light is usually your ring light. Ring light is super unflattering and it's hard. And basically any lamp with a direct light like this is hard light. And hard lights make us look like we are much older or like we have a beard and a mustache. In my case, I have a Hitler mustache because usually, especially if it's from above, my nose is a bit long, so I have a shadow over here all the time. But if you use soft light, the light is distributed over broader surface. It reduces the hard shadows and it makes it just look everything more natural. The trick to using the softbox light is putting it not directly in front of your face, but 45 degrees angle. And so from the side a little bit, because this way it creates depth. Sorry. One second. Yeah, so ring lights are not your friend. Use a softbox light like this. It costs, here are some links I provide, it costs around 100 euros and it will serve you super well and will just look much more professional right away. If you combine it with some LED lights like this, and for example, you put them on the background in your room, like you might have seen many creators do, they put these LED lights on the background and they have their brand color and then it all looks like very fancy right away. Or for example, you can put them on the side like I had them until now. It just makes it look like you're a bit more professional in your content creation. You're a bit more experienced creator. What I would also show you, but I cannot at the moment because my phone is attached to it, is a magnetic holder. So I hate those tripods that you use the clamp to clamp your phone because usually and you end up pressing buttons on your phone. One second. Dio. You end up accidentally pressing buttons on your phone, and it happened to me so many times that I would record the video, or at least I would think that I'm recording a video in this clam tripod, and then it would turn off my phone because it pressed the wrong button. So yeah, if you can get a magnetic one, so a magnetic cover for your phone and a magnetic holder, go ahead and do it. And then basically you don't even need a microphone because CapCut can enhance your voice and reduce background. So if you're creating a video in a room like this, that's good enough. You don't need a microphone. But if you decide to buy I'm using a traveling microphone basically that is inserted into your camera, into your phone, and you don't need to charge it. These ones that like normal microphones where people are like talking like this, I don't like them. I think it looks so stupid, but some people need to hold something in their hands. But you need to charge those. So like if you forget to charge them, then you might have a problem in the moment when you actually need it. So that's why I prefer the traveling microphones. So you can check out, these are all links to the equipment that I'm using, and you can decide what you get for yourself. When you create those talking head videos or expert videos, usually what people do, they create a nice backdrop that's recognizable and the same in every video. They might include some sort of like quotations, some sort of nice pictures and nice elements. You can also, I have standing here a board in case I would want to write something, LED lights for different colors. So it's up to you to decide how you want to create the atmosphere in your video. Then I would also recommend you to use Canva to create reel covers. I don't do it because my reels basically in the beginning I always have the hook time, like when I'm looking into the camera, and I use that one as a cover. But if you were, for example, like this guy that I showed you yesterday, so if you wanted to make your feed look super nice and super consistent, you could take your photo, put a hook on top of it, but the video is completely different, right? You just like make sure that your feed looks very cohesive. And these templates you can create in Canva and always stick to them. And the same for carousels. So I have templates for all of my carousels, and basically I create all of my carousels in this one file. And I don't need to think about how they should look like. I create one template and I just stick to them and I always reuse it. Just maybe move around a little bit the elements, but in the end it's the same. And here's a bit of the, instructions of how to create a branded carousel for yourself. Of course, in Canva, you will find a lot of different templates, but I highly recommend you to find one and then adapt it to your style or ask your designer to adapt it to your style so it's highly recognizable. And your template, your carousel template will usually have three elements. It will have the cover image where you use your hook and you introduce, like you add your business information. Then you have the middle part where you unwrap the topic with the text. And in the end, there is always a call to action slide. And actually, the last slide of the carousel is a very easy opportunity to start selling something because carousels, you can go up to 20 slides right now, and you can unwrap a topic in a lot of details or a big topic. And you can and you should include a slide in the end that leads to your offer. For the reels, the reel template, the cover image would look something like this. If your grid is still outdated like mine, it will be one by one. So you need to make sure that in this reel cover you include all the information within the square. If you're a bit more up to date and your grid is vertical, then you need to plan it like this. But still, when you're planning your reel cover images, think of people who are like him, whose grid is vertical, and then think, oh, look, when I'm looking from on my computer, my grid is also vertical, and I'm looking when on my phone, it's still square. So try to consider people whose grid is still square to make sure that they see all the essential information on the cover photo, and so that it's not cut. Also, so that your face is not cut. So, and now we come to the batch creation part. Remember I told you yesterday when you're in discovery phase, you need to create content every day. And I really mean it. I really want you to create one reel every day, and I don't want you to batch create, because if you create a lot of reels every day, you get really fast at it, and then batch creation becomes very easy. Because if you start batch creating right away and you need 5 hours to make one video, your batch creation will not be batch creation, because you spend like the entire day just editing one video. So in the beginning, try to do one content piece per day. Plan everything in advance, but still edit it every day. But once you get a bit more skilled at this, you can follow my schedule. This is my schedule that I use to create content for 2 weeks in advance. I found that creating content for the whole month is a bit too time consuming. I do not manage to do it in under 2 days. I can plan the content for the whole month, but I usually will film and edit it for only 2 weeks in advance. So how does it work for me? So on Friday, and I usually prefer to do it on the weekend, because then I don't have any client appointments. I don't have, like, I have plenty of time, and it's a fun thing for me. So I do it on the weekend. So usually on Friday, when I'm finishing work, I will go through all of my content database, and I will take content ideas from there and put it in the content calendar for the next 2 weeks, or even possible for the whole month. So I will plan per day what content I'm going to post, what reel I'm going to create. I will also draft the captions, script the video, and find audios that I'm going to use in my videos. Then the next day on Saturday, I'm going to spend 2 hours, sometimes even less if it's a lot of B-rolls, because I have already a big collection of B-rolls that I just have on my phone or on my computer, and I just can reuse them. So I don't even need to shoot them. But if I'm shooting everything from scratch, like, I will spend 2 hours shooting. I might have a few t-shirts that I'm gonna change, or not even, because we saw this big creator who's just shooting everything in the same clothes, because in the end it doesn't matter. Then once I finish shooting, I will send all those videos on my computer. I will sort them, and then I can either edit the same day, or if I don't want to spend so much time on Saturday, I will edit on Sunday. And so for me, this whole process of shooting and editing takes in total 5 hours to create enough content for the next 2 weeks, and sometimes even a month if it's a lot of those B-rolls content where I don't need to create, complicated scripts or doing complicated editing or animations. So you schedule this stuff, you create this stuff, and then you schedule it for automatic posting. And what do you do the rest of the days? You do all of those growth tactics that we discussed yesterday. You will engage with accounts, you will find collaborators, you will stalk followers, you will do client work, you will collect new content ideas. So everything everything else that you need to do, you will have enough time to do all of this if you batch create. So this is where we want to head. Our goal in the end is to be so good at the content that we plan it in advance, and then we batch create, we schedule for automatic posting, and we don't even need to think about it the next 2 weeks, because it's out there, it's being posted, and followers are coming in. Do you have questions to content creation? Okay, if there are no questions, then we are going to quickly go through the growth tactics, and then we're gonna take a break. Growth tactics. Some of this we already discussed yesterday, so I just wanted to put them all together so we summarize them. First, to manage expectations. Like we said, you don't need reels to grow on Instagram. You can grow through carousels. Reels is just still more effective to reach a wider audience as of last year, and I'm pretty sure it will be the case this year as well. Also, video is more engaging, and through video, you can create a better connection to your audience. Instagram algorithm needs time to recognize your content. So it's a good idea to set yourself a goal that you will be posting every day for the next 90 days and really do this. And then the chances are high that algorithm will recognize it. If you just like randomly post every now and again, no chance. Some people need a few months, some people need a year to make a breakthrough and go viral, and you just need to stick around. Only those who stick around are the ones who win. When I started my Reels account, it took me half a year for my first reel to go viral, and I think it took another half a year for the second reel to go viral. And then I understood what reels I need to produce to go viral, or what trends I need to jump at. And now at least one reel a month goes viral, and if I really try, then more often. Also, if you're just starting out, you don't have the skills yet to produce good content, and also you don't know what works well. That's why I highly recommend to do a ton of research, make a list of at least 100 viral videos of in your niche, and study them like a Bible. Like really make it your goal to understand why those reels went viral and how you can use them for yourself or recreate for yourself. Sometimes the virality can come completely randomly from things you least expect, but that doesn't mean that you cannot plan it, because we have gone through the things that people want to see, that people do save, that people do share, and these are usually things that do signal to the algorithm that this is the virality worth content. And that's why in the beginning you will end up testing different content formats until you find that one that works for you, for your niche, which will become your signature format. And there will be periods where you will gain 100 followers in a day or a week, and then there will be months when nothing is happening. But this is not the reason to give up. You will still have to keep going if you want to see results. Yeah, it's all part of the game. And in the end, you need to keep in mind that although virality is good and brings the fastest growth, you should aim for regular, consistent growth. So if you post reels that people are saving and finding useful and they're sharing them, and you gain 1 to 2 new followers per reel because you value so much, you share so much value, this is much better than if you try to chase the algorithm and create viral content all the time. So growth tactic number 1, just to summarize what we discussed yesterday, you go to your post, you calculate the follower conversion rate in the Excel sheet, and then you filter them, you sort them in the descending order from like highest CVR to the lowest, and you try to reproduce videos with the highest follower conversion rate. So the ones that brought you the most followers, you either repost them directly, or you make minor tweaks, or you recycle them in a slightly different way, but you try to produce more of the content just like that. For reuse account, for example, the videos that go viral will look exactly the same most of the time, because it worked for me once and I just started doing it non-stop. For example, this is a tutorial of a trick that went viral, and then they're not pinned, oh no, which I reposted, by the way, again, and again went viral. This was our Christmas calendar. Yeah, this is the first time it went viral. Yeah, this is another tutorial, but this did not work so well. Let me see this one, how we learn backstall, exactly the same hook even. The previous one was how we learn bang, step-by-step tutorial. This one, how we learn backstall, step-by-step tutorial, exactly the same format, and also went viral, right? Where else? Anything like this? How we learn selfie. Okay, this did not go so viral, but still 20,000 views. This one, how to learn slalom, 15,000 views. How to teach your dog to say hi, 23,000 views. Fun trick to learn in one training session, 49,000 views. So literally everything, how we learn jump up, 15,000. But I think this was the second time I posted it. How to teach place, 60,000. How to bulletproof place training, 30,000. So literally how to start with place training, 40,000. All the same stuff, just tricks, tutorials, tips, something that people can do on their own. How to learn jump up, 100,000. How we learn footsies, 93,000. These were the times when I was posting so many. How to learn backstall is different video, but the same tutorial. It all, you don't have to reinvent anything. Once you find a format that works, you just keep producing the same and it will be working every single time. And then the other growth tactics is that once something went viral, you have to repost it. Don't try to invent something new again. Just take it and repost it and it will work again. I have a reel that I reposted, I think, already 5 times. This one I reposted definitely 5 times and every time brought me so many followers. Just repost it. Don't overthink and just post it again, or post it as a trial reel because those also go viral. So this one I posted as a trial reel and brought again 2 million views. So just repost it. Nobody cares. Nobody remembers your content as well as you do. So just do it. Then the growth tactics number 3, how to grow without posting. This is what we discussed yesterday. You go to Instagram account in a relevant niche or a competitor, you start engaging with their followers, you start commenting, liking, responding to their stories, and this way you can get also followers. Then you can also get followers from commenting. So you go to bigger accounts and you engage in the discussions because bigger accounts do have discussions. Or for example, if Maria's reel goes viral again and there is a shitstorm in her comments again, you can again join that conversation and ask people to follow you, and you'll definitely make some friends. So now we come to the launch on Instagram. We're gonna take 10 minutes break, 8-minute break until 8 o'clock, and then we will have exactly 1 hour to cover how we can launch our product or service, how can we earn first money on Instagram, what are the concrete structured processes to achieve this, and then we are done. Okay, so we meet each other in 8 minutes at 20:00. So we are at the end of our two-day workshop. It's been very intense, and it's a lot of information that you got, and I know that it will not be so easy to implement all of this. So I would really advise you to take one day and just go through this whole presentation step by step and really implement the exercises, complete them, and this will help you, this will get you much further than most of the people that are trying to post something. Now, so far, we've been only talking about creating content, growing your audience, increasing your reach, but there will be a point that it has worked, that you have gained your the amount of followers that you were going for. So now you need to know how to monetize that audience. There are several strategies that we're going to discuss now. But generally, what you have to know, and I think you already know this from our previous webinars, is that Instagram and any other algorithm dependent platform is bad for sales, because the algorithm is unpredictable and we cannot rely on it. We cannot rely on it to generate revenue. Instagram, LinkedIn, they cannot be our, like, organic content on LinkedIn cannot be our primary source of leads and revenue. Our primary source of leads and revenue has to be controlled. It has to be predictable so we can scale, so we know how much we need to put in and how much comes out. So you have to take your audience out of these borrowed platforms like Instagram and LinkedIn into an owned platform. An owned platform is usually an email list. And you can do this with Reels, freebies, and automations. And we're going to discuss this now. So Reels are great to generate awareness around your brand and bring your new followers, but it's not so good at selling. So I just said that we need Reels, freebies, and automations. So how exactly does it work? When you build your online business, you will usually build something that looks like an offer suite or an offer pyramid, where you offer something for free, your strategic freebie, and then you have a series of offers from low ticket offer to high ticket offer, so that your entire target audience can be covered with this. So you can offer something to people who can only pay very little, and you can also offer something to people who expect premium service. But to get to those people, usually you have to offer something for free. And this is how we combine those things with our Reels and Instagram content. Let's say you have one lead magnet for one offer. Here's how your sales cycle could look like with that lead magnet and that one offer. Week 1, you focus on generating awareness around one problem. So for example, what I try to do with my content 1 week before or 2 weeks before is where I was talking about how to grow your content, what is growth content, how to research viral content, and so on. So I was trying to show people that there are these problems that exist and that I have the solutions to those problems. And then in the story, so I showcased possible solutions and offered additional value in a strategic freebie. What I did last week, I just posted through a stories where I said, okay, this is like what we are covering and you can sign up right here. But the different solution would be creating 6 reels. No, I cannot count. This should be 6 reels where you say at the end of every reel, comment keyword, and I'll send you this additional solution to your problem in the form of a freebie. And so you create an automation, so when people comment on your reel, they receive a direct notification in their DMs. They come to your landing page and they download that freebie and they get into your email automation that does the selling for you. And you have to plan it in advance. You have to plan the reels that are directly related to your lead magnet. And usually this would be enough for one sales cycle. And you can run this promotion once a month. And this will definitely increase the number of your email subscribers, and it will increase the number of potential leads who could convert into paying customers. So let's review again how this works. You have a lead magnet and you create reels that attract people's attention to the problem, and you offer a lead magnet through asking people to comment a keyword. They receive a DM with the link to the magnet. They come to the landing page of the lead magnet, give you their email address, get into your email sequence. You either directly sell a low ticket offer like a digital product, an online course, an ebook, and you try to upsell your medium or high ticket offer. So this is how the funnel would look like. But you have to plan this, you have to plan it in sales cycle, and you have to run at least one promotion like this per month. And the same is actually for your email sequence. You have to run for your email list, you have to run at least one promotion per month in your emails. So if you don't screw up like I screw up, where one person, there was something wrong with my promotion. People were receiving 4 same emails from me. I don't know what happened. But if you were receiving emails from me that were selling this workshop, this was a typical promotion that I was doing in the email list, and you have to do the same in your Instagram content. So how do you set up this automation? So you need to use ManyChat for this. ManyChat is a platform that allows you to automate Instagram and connect it to your email list. So it looks like this inside. I usually am on a pro version. For some reason, it's not accepting my payment, so it bumped me down to the free version. So what can you do here? You can store your contacts here. So everyone who ever has engaged with your content, commented, followed, like they are saved here. And you can create automation. So for example, I had an automation that were several automations that were promoting my workshop. So how did it look? I had a reel here that was solving a specific problem and generating awareness around this problem and showing that I have the solution to that problem in my workshop. I created a keyword that people were supposed to comment, and once they did, they would receive automated replies, and they would receive a message saying that cool, that you're interested, here you can learn more, and here they would get a link to the workshop page where they could sign up. This is in my case promoting this workshop, but you could do exactly the same promoting your freebie and converting those people who are just followers whom you cannot directly contact, whom you cannot scale it in any way. You want to bring those people from Instagram into your own platform where you can directly write them an email, directly contact them. You can segment them, you can hyper-personalize your communication, which is not possible. Like you cannot personalize communication on Instagram, but you can hyper-personalize it with systems like email marketing and Zapier automations. ChatGPT, you can create really great things. So, for example, here I have an automation to a highlight. My highlight that here I have a highlights called free where people can, where they read that I have this free resource, and then they can come, like they can press here and directly come to the highlight. Or I have another one, I think this one. Community, do you see community, where they can comment a keyword and somewhere there, and they receive the link where they can join the community. And so one of those is actually very actively being used. This is very easy to set up. As you see, you just have two elements. Basically, you have your trigger, you have your keyword, and you have the message with the link. The only thing, when you're on a free version, I think you can only have limited amount of automations. Like Ryu's account is on the free version, like his automation obviously running way more. Like one of them, like I had like 134 people commenting to that automation. Yeah. And his contacts are, how many? I don't even see. 800. So this is how it works. With ManyChat, for free, you can already have 3 or 4 or 5 automations. I'm not sure, not too many, but it's all possible. And you set it up, you plan it in advance, and then you can take your audience from Instagram into your platforms that you can scale. So I think we will skip this one because we actually did this in one of our recent webinars. And let's talk about a more direct way to sell on Instagram, and that is with stories. So Reels are great because they generate a lot of awareness, they have more reach, and then you can take people who discover you and bring them to your email list. What if you already have a specific following and you want to directly sell to that following on the platform? For this, you can use stories. And there are several promotion sequences that I propose here, but a very simple and typical promotion series in stories could look like this. You have 3 days. You have 200 new followers, and what you do, those followers don't know you. Even though they have the opportunity to read about you in the highlights, they have the opportunity to read about you in the pin post. Let's assume they don't, because people often just don't care enough to really research the person. So we need to give them this opportunity and tell them who we are and what we do. So once we decide to run this promotion cycle, we start with posting a few stories on the day one, where we tell them who we are, our stories, how we came to running our business, and what we do and whom we help and how our offer looks like. Then once they got to know us, the next day we will give them something to prove that what we do actually works, and we will show results through case studies, we will show some projects, we will show some testimonials that people actually do recommend us and that they were happy to work with us. And day 3, we invite people for a free Zoom call, or we include any other call to action, like we ask them to ask a question or DM us. But let's say in this promotion series, we suggest to them to book a Zoom call with us, and we sell in that call directly. Another promotion series and stories could look like this. Very small one, very quick. You introduce yourself, what you do, and you ask the question about a specific point of your audience that you promise to solve. So just like you probably have seen, hi, I'm that and that coach. If you have any questions about how this and this works, ask. And then people ask you questions, then you answer them in the stories. But you don't just answer and sit there and expect that people will come to you and buy. You DM every single one of them, every single one who voted, or every single one who asked the question, and you sell by chat. You sell in the DMs. You tell them that you have more offers, that you can help them even more. You invite them to a Zoom call, to a free discovery meeting, and you try to upsell further. So this way of asking a question or posting a poll shows to you who is there in your audience, who is interested, who might be interested in what you have to offer, but you have to contact them. You cannot expect that they will just come and say, hey, here's my money, I'm ready to buy from you. You have to text them and try to sell to them. Another promotion series and stories that could look how it could look like. You introduce yourself and what you do. As you see, it always starts with telling people who you are and what you do. Then you ask a question about a specific problem. Then you answer people's question, and you can offer more solution with a freebie. And here you create another automation where you ask people to comment a specific keyword to get that freebie, and they get into your email sequence. But it doesn't end here. Even though people are getting nurtured and converted with your automated email sequence, you still text every single one who commented or voted, and you sell by chat. So it might seem super obvious, but I guarantee that most people don't use any of these tactics. If you have seen, I often post polls in my even in relation to any kind of reel that I have posted. But by posting polls and questions, I know I can see what people are really actively following me and who are warm enough to engage with my content and whom I can contact to see if I can help them some other way as well through a paid offer. A very easy way to do this, it would be just to make a video and say, and I swear people underestimate it so much, but the reason that many people are not buying from you is because they just don't know what you're selling. They don't know what you do. That's why every single promotion series here starts with introducing yourself and what you do. But an even simpler one could be, you just take your phone and you record in the story and say, hey, did you know that I do this and this? If you know somebody who could benefit from this, I would appreciate the recommendation. Or if this is something that you would be interested in, I don't know, give me a high five here, and then you text to that person. People don't know what you do. People don't know that you're selling something. So reminding them at least once a month in a short promotion series who you are and what you do and how you can help them will increase the number of leads that you get from Instagram drastically. And this is another series that you could include. This is a bit longer, 4 days. So you could start with, for example, you're just starting out. For many of you, you might not even have any case studies or any testimonials, but often you are your own first client and you are your own testimonial and success story. So how you could start this? Hi, I'm that and that person. Now I am like this. I weigh 60 kilos, but after pregnancy I weighed 80, and this is what I did to reduce those 20 kilos. Yeah. Or now I am a super happy, confident person, but after pregnancy I was fighting with the pregnancy depression, post-pregnancy depression, and here are the 5 steps that I did to fight this. Next day, you address a pain point and you offer a solution, something that your audience very often struggle with. For example, okay, you slipped off the diet, what to do? And here's what my clients do in order to stick to the client. Or you feel depressed, here's the number of affirmations that I use to feel positive every day. And then day 3, you say, which might not even have to be necessarily true, but this is a sales tactic. You say, okay, I received so many questions from the last 2 days where I told you these 2 stories, so I can take 5 people for a free Zoom call, for example. And you give a link to that place where people can book a Zoom call with you. And then if you could have even more people, like you could take more people for a Zoom call, the next day you talk about what you discussed with these people in this free Zoom call, and you can say that, hey, I can take one more for a free consultation, and you basically like do a final reminder for this promotional series. 4 days, you start with showing your results, then you talk about the common pain, problem, and solution, how you solve it for others, and then you ask people to join a free discovery call. Just see what happens if you post the free discovery call in your stories. People might sign up, and then you sell in the discovery call. And then to remind those who maybe have missed the day 3, you say it again, you wrap it up, and post your discovery call link again. So here are 4 promotion series that you can do on Instagram at least once a month that you have to do in order to increase the number of leads that you get from the platform. Do you have any questions to this promotion series? Okay, then there is another thing that's called the follower conversion funnel. This one is not so easy to do because here you have to have that viral reel that works real well. that one reel that you know when you post, it will bring you a lot of reach for free. So you identify that reel that has worked, and then you change it a little bit in the way that you change the CTA that you ask people to follow. And then, for example, you can just repost it viral reel and hope that it goes viral again, or you boost it. And then every single person that follows, you text. And then you sell by chat again, or you offer them a link to get a discovery call, because you know that that reel, that was very strategic reel, that solves the specific problems that directly tied to your offer. You know that that reel is bringing in the right people because you have tested it. So you know that every single one who is following you from that reel can be your potential client and can benefit from your offer. So you DM them and you sell by chat. And as you see, lots of the things are sell by chat. And I still sell by chat as well, or I still struggle to bring people into the discovery call because people don't want to be sold. So I have to text with a ton of people that I'm not interested in. I'm sorry, but it's true. Like, I don't know those people. How can I be interested? But I have to text with them and have a real conversation in order to bring them to the next step is a discovery call where we meet face to face. Another way that is not content related is when you just go to Instagram, and in the search you type a keyword, like for example, I don't know, keynote speaker. And on the desktop version, it's not so good because it doesn't give you all the accounts possible. Oh, okay, maybe through non-personalized it can give you. And then, for example, you go to this account, you engage with their posts, you maybe comment on some, you follow them, you engage with their stories, and in case they follow you back, you write to them right away, you thank them for a follow, and you try to create a real conversation, and you sell by chat. This is actually not so difficult. You need to know the keywords of your target audience, and you can find them, and you can create a communication that leads to a sale. This way, with the reel, you bring the people to you. What I just showed you with the keyword is that you search for people, which is more time consuming, obviously. And that's it. These are the, how many? 5 to 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sales tactics that I have that can help you monetize your audience that you were working really hard to grow. So I thank you very much for your attention. If you want to write me a testimonial to let other people know how great this workshop was, I will be very thankful. And if you have any questions, shoot. We still have some time. I'm ready to answer any questions that you have to help you create a better strategy, better content, and better sales tactics.